All right, guys, here we go. Recording another lab. The lab that we are doing in this video is it's in your modules on week 7, exploring authentication, authorization, and accounting. This is the second lab on this day, and I'm just making a video to make it easier to walk through. You got to have this first lab done, though, installing a virtual machine on a personal computer, because we're using that virtual machine in this lab. Whenever we get done with the lab, you're not uploading a PDF with questions on it. You're actually uploading a screenshot of the results of what you did in the lab. So keep that in mind, and we'll get into it here. To access the lab material, you're going to need to log into your Cisco Net Academy, Network Academy, netcad.com. Go to your Cybersecurity Essentials material, and we go down. Now, this is just the fastest way I've found to get to the labs. There are probably other routes you can take, but we're going to select chapter 2 here. And then once you're in the reading material, quickest way to get there from here is down here at the bottom. There's your course index and then lab index. So Cybersecurity Essentials on Network Academy, going to opening up a chapter, going to course index, then lab index, and then just find the chapter 2 and the labs, and we're looking for 2.5 lab, exploring authentication, authorization, and accounting. So once you get all of that, once you get here, it brings you to this page, and this page has a link that just brings you to the lab instructions. And there we go. We have our lab instructions here. Going to put them over to the side. Bring up your virtual box, and you should have your lab. Not your lab. You should have your lab VM, your virtual machine for doing labs that you created in the last lab. Click on that and click on Start, unless you already have it started. Let that thing get up and going, and let's do a quick look over through the directions here. So there are 12 pages to this lab, so there's a lot of directions. I'm not going to get into the details of what we're doing so much, not so much explaining every little thing. We're just going to do the walkthrough here. What we are doing, though, is we're adding groups, users, passwords on Linux systems. We will be looking at different ways to change permissions. So just going all the way down here to step 1, opening a terminal window on Ubuntu. So once you open your virtual machine here, it's over here. Let's close that thing. Oh, it's not finished opening yet. Okay, there we go. Log in as Cisco. Password is password. Still loading, still loading. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Let's go there. Okay, after it blinks a bazillion times. All right. Like the instructions said, so we got logged in with Cisco password, and we're going to open up a terminal and make that a little bigger too. All right. So we're in there. We have opened up a terminal, and we want to move over to be a super user. So that's sudo su command. SU is for switch user, and the sudo is the user we're switching into. That's the super user. They can do whatever they want in the system. That password is password. So you can see now we are root. The stupidest super duper user of all super users, we are root. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a group called HR. That is done with the group add command. And so we just type in group add in all lowercase and then HR, both uppercase letters for H and R. Hit enter. It doesn't give us any feedback because that's how Linux works. And got to verify things on your own here. So to verify that the group is there that we just created, we can do a command called cat, which is short for concatenation. It's going to show you what's in a file. The file that we need to check here is located in the etc folder, file called group. That's going to show us all the groups. So we're concatenating the group file in the etc folder with this command cat /etc/group. We hit enter, and you can see here that our group is at the very bottom, HR that we created. So now we're going to add a user named Jenny. The command to add a user is add user. There's another command, I believe it's user add. That's not the one that we're using. That's a not totally different thing, but that's a different thing. It adds the user in a little bit different way. We want to use the add user command. Add user Jenny, all lowercase letters. Hit enter. It's going to ask you for a password, and her password is la social, according to our directions here. Hit enter. Going to have to enter la social again. Her first name is Jenny with a capital J, and then we just hit enter for the rest of these things because we're not putting in a room number or phone numbers or anything else. Is the information correct? You want to type the letter Y and hit enter, and brings you right back to the command line. So now we have a user that we created named Jenny, and we have a group that we created named HR, but now we need to add Jenny to that HR group. The command for adding a user to a group, the command to modify a user file is user mod. To add, using user mod, we're going to do a hyphen capital G. That means that we are modifying the groups, and we're going to put in next is HR because we want to modify that group and we want to put Jenny into it. So this is why this is the command for adding somebody to a group. User mod tac G, then the name of the group, and then the name of the user. We hit enter there. Got it done. Now, quick shortcut here for Linux. When you're on the command line, you can just push the up button and it will show you the commands that you ran. So not a lot of commands here. So once you go up, you can also go down, see all the commands you entered. The reason I'm showing you that is because we are now going to add Joe. And we can use the same command that we used to add Jenny, so we don't have to type it all in. So we just have up, and we have add user Jenny, but we're going to change the name to Joe. Hit enter. Joe's password is going to be tooth, Tooth. Joe with a capital J. We don't need a room number or phone numbers or anything else. Say yes to that. Now we can hit up again to that user mod command we used earlier, change the name from Jenny to Joe, and we will be adding Joe to the HR group. Let me double check our directions here. Yes, we're right here. Cool. Now we want to verify that our users are in the system that we just made. So again, we're going to use that cat command. And again, we're going to go into the etc folder and we're going to look at the password file. That is cat space /etc/passwd. Looking at the password file, and you can see here that Jenny and Joe are both in there. Username Jenny, Joe shows the location of their Like I said earlier, we won't get into all the details of everything here. So they're in there. We also want to check the, for some reason, the directions want us to check the shadow file. That's the same command as before, except for instead of password, we put in shadow. And it shows that we have Jenny and Joe, and in the shadow file, that's a hash of their password there, and a few other things. All right, pushing forward, we are going to check out using symbolic permissions, and in order to do that, we need to get out of the graphical user interface, and we're going to move into the TTY terminal. To do that, you hit the Control, Alt, and F1 button, and that brings you here to the TTY1 terminal, and we want to log in as Jenny, I believe. So when you're in the terminal, it steals your mouse and it won't give it back to you. At least that's what it's doing here on my system. You have to hit the control button to get that back out. Probably have figured that out by now, but thought I'd go over real quick in case you hadn't. So, all right, we are going to log in as Jenny. Her password was social. Whoops. Oh, I'm still logged in as Cisco. Type exit. If you're still logged in as Cisco, you type exit there. We'll log in as Jenny. Social. There we go. The right control key to get my mouse back. We want to go back to the home directory and check out some permissions. So one command to see where you're at. If you're not sure where you're currently at in the system, you can do the pwd command. That's print working directory, and it shows that we are in the Jenny folder, which is in the home folder. Jenny directory and the home directory. We want to move up one in that structure to the home directory. So instead of typing change directory /home, we're just going to put change directory ... That moves you up one layer. So you can see now at the command line we're at /home. Print working directory now shows home. Here we're going to, so the ls command, that's a list that shows you everything that's in the directory. But we want to add a little bit of options to that. We're doing the -L option, and that shows us the a little bit more information about the files that are in the current directory that we're in. So, all right, and really quick breezing over the permission settings that it shows you whenever you're looking at this. The very first character tells you if it's a directory or a file. If it's a directory, that very first character will be a D. Every single entry in this home directory is a directory as well, so we have the D there. Your next three characters are telling you the permissions for the user. The next three characters are telling you the permissions for the group. The next three characters are telling you the permissions for everybody else on the computer. So the three characters are read, write, and execute. R, W, and X stands for read, write, and execute. So the first three, read, write, and execute. Next three, read, write, and execute. Next three, read, write, and execute. I highly recommend that you make sure and learn this, because it is very important when you are on Linux machines and you run into issues with people not being able to access stuff or stuff not working correctly. One of the first things you want to check is permissions. A lot of issues get fixed, or a lot of issues are caused because of permissions. Like I said, I was not going to get into great detail because there are so many steps on this, and I don't want this to be a hour-long video. So moving on here. So we're going to go into the Joe directory with a change directory command, cd Joe. Okay, and you notice we're logged in as Jenny, and we are able to go into Joe's directory. So that was just a quick check to see that we were able to go into Joe's directory. Now we want to open another TTY terminal. And we do that by pressing Control Alt and F2 this time. And as you can see, that brings us to a TTY2 for this one. And it wants us to log in as root, and it says the password is secret password. However, watch this. Root, and the password is secret password, and you will see real quick that it's not. It's the incorrect password. I could try this over and over again, but I already walked through this lab once, and I know that that's the incorrect password. So in order to get around this, we're going to log in as Cisco, because we know Cisco has root access. Cisco is the super user here. So we'll log in as Cisco. Password is password. And now that we're at Cisco, we can do a sudo su command and type in Cisco's password. And so we log in as Cisco with the username Cisco, password is password. Then we use the sudo su command to change to the root user, the super duper of all users, the root user. Sudo su will do that for us, and that's going to be the same as logging in as root as far as this lab is concerned here. So we want to go into the home directory. We were logged in as Cisco, so we were in Cisco's directory. We're going to back up one, so cd, the command is cd dash or cd period cd dot brings you to home, and we're going to run a command chmod o -x joe. What we're doing is we're removing the executable permission from the others. So we hit enter on that. Now if we do a ls tac l to see all of the permissions, you can see that Joe's directory now, the last three characters is R hyphen hyphen. The X is no longer there on that. So if we switch back to TTY1 with a Control Alt F1, and we're back here as Jenny, and we see all our directories here. Let's do a Control L to go up to clear that screen with all that stuff. If you didn't know the shortcut real quick for what I just did, the Control button and the letter L will clear your terminal, so you just have one nice clean command line at the top. We are going to change directories into Joe's directory like we did earlier, but we're not, because the execution for Joe's directory has been removed. Jenny cannot go over to Joe's directory anymore. She could last time we were in here. She cannot anymore. Lost my place here with the directions. Okay, here we go. Yeah, permission denied, permission denied. That's what we're looking at. We are going into part 4 now, the absolute permissions. So the absolute permissions, they work the exact same way as the last permissions that we looked at here. But instead of doing a plus minus RWX, I didn't really go over that. Let's go over that really quick here. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So the chmod command, and then you put U for user, O for other, or G for group, and then you can plus or minus the read, write, or executable permissions by doing an RWX. You can do all three, you can do one or the other, and again the plus and the minus. A lot of different ways that you can enter that command. Make sure you look that over and know it, because you will need to know it as changing permissions. I've already stressed how important that is, so make sure you know this Now, the next thing we're doing is just basically that exact same thing, only we're using numbers instead of the U plus RXW. Some people like it that way. I like to just do it the way we just seen, but using the numbers. So let's look down here at this example real quick here. So the Chmod command that we just seen how that works, and then you'll have three numbers, and the first number is for the user, the second number is for the group, and the third number is for everybody else, the others. So if you want the user to have, and like in this example, for the example file, we are changing the permissions on that example file. The user will have read, write, and execute because it's a 7. The group will have read and write permissions to example file, and everybody else in the computer will have number 4, so they will only be able to read it. That's how that command works. If you really want to dig deep, you can go into the binaries of to determine how that works. I'm not going to dig that deep into it at the current moment. So what we want to do is go back to our other directory, don't we? I mean, our other... Yes, so we want to, on the TTY, where we were logged in as Jenny, just type in exit if you're still logged in as Jenny to get back to the login screen. And we're going to log in as Joe. Joe's password was tooth. And clear the screen. And so check out the directory that we're in and go back to the home directory. Look at Joe's. Okay, so you can see we are in the Joe directory. We're cd ... to get back app1 and run that ls-l command to see all the permissions. So we're seeing that Joe has for others read only, and we are going to change that, I believe, right here with the Chmod 705. 705. And we're doing the Joe directory. So it's Chmod 705 Joe. Now if we do the list, we can see that the directory Joe has changed quite a bit here. So you can see up here it had read and execute for what had read, write, execute for the user, read and execute only for the group, and read only for others. Now you can see that's kind of flipped around a bit. Read, write, execute for the user, nothing for the group, and read and execute only for others. Okay, and we are going to go into Joe's directory. So change directory Joe, and then we're going to do a touch test.tx. The touch command basically just creates a file. It's a completely empty file, and it'll be named whatever you type in after the word touch. So you don't even have to have an extension on it. But for this exercise, we are going to put one on there. So now you can see in the directory, we have the file that we just created with the touch command. Okay, now we're going to exit, log out of Joe, and log in as Jenny. Her password was Lost Social. We are going to Oh, we're going to change to the home directory this time, but this time instead of doing the cd dot dot, we're going to do cd/home. Just a different way of getting to the same place. Going to check out ls tech l to look at the directories and see the permissions. Oh, I missed a step there. So now we're going to move into Joe's directory. And then we're going to look at the file permissions. So that test file that we made, we see it here. It's not a directory, so it starts with a hyphen. User has read-write, group has read-write, and other has read. See how it looks a little bit different as we're logged in as Jenny. So what we're going to do as Jenny is we're going to try to create a file here in Joe directory by using that touch command. Touch and a Jenny text file, and it will not let us do that because we do not have write permission in the Joe directory as we just changed it a minute ago. And that's the end of the lab. What you need to do is take a screenshot of this right here. I really would like for you to show me the ls-l command and show all the directories and the settings for their permissions, and then also try to do the touch command as Jenny and get a permissions denied there. Just give a screenshot of that and upload it to your module here and get credit for the lab. Thank you very much. Bye.